Welcome to Hired Lead and Chill.
All right, how you guys doing today? We've got 406 and 1022, 2024. Shawn Day here with Hired Lead Chill, and we haven't been on in a while, so we thank you. I got a little squirrely thing going around my head. I'll have to check that out later to get my lighting better. My lighting's way over there, pointing over there. That probably isn't good. Been out of the loop a little bit here. We were doing this every Tuesday practically for about 2 years. Been out for maybe a month or something like that. I've been working really, really hard on putting together what we're calling growth hub, a growth hub for like a client portal, but it's got an amazing amount of value to it. There's an assessment you'll be able to take to see where you might have some weaknesses, where your strengths are, as far as the employee side of business. Because as you guys know, if you've heard me say anything, if you solve your employee side of your business, you've got about 90% of your business licked, and you'll be able to grow with some sanity along the way and not just chaotically. So I don't know if chaotically is a word or not, but it sure is today. So we'll stick with it. But I want to thank Trish, who is my VA, who has done an awful lot with that. She's probably listening to this behind the background, doing some things for us. So Trish, you're doing a phenomenal job. And Nikki, obviously you are as well. I tell you guys that all the time, but I probably don't tell you that enough. So thank you very much. All right. I'm going to bring in a gentleman I met about, I don't know, it was sometime in April, I think, of last year, maybe at CBF Live. Buzzy, how you doing today?
Good, sir. How are you?
I'm doing good. We had a good conversation, and I think got a pretty comfortable pretty quick, and just started talking about a lot of stuff at Debbie Sardone's event in April and CBF Live. Give us a little bit of background on you and, sort of your walk and journey into how you became the guy you are today.
You bet. So I will tell you this started, probably about 20 years ago or so. I actually had a career in ministry, church ministry, did some different things, church pastor, executive pastor, youth pastor, Christian school administrator, all of that. And then after a couple of those, I had a friend that got into the background check business, and I did background checks as a youth pastor and a children's pastor and all that, but I really didn't understand that much about it. And so then he got into it, and I was leaving one of those other positions as a Christian school administrator. And he said, "Hey, come to work for me, help me out, do this." And so I just started making some phone calls. One thing led to another. We had some success. And then I started my own business in 2004, ran that for about 5 or 6 years, did some stuff in the meantime, and then started this C4 operations in 2014 because I had some clients from the previous business that wanted some help doing some stuff, etc. It just kind of has grown. And today we have about 7,000 customers nationwide.
Beautiful.
We have customers in every state in the country. And we understand background checks in, like I say, every location there is. All kinds of states have different rules, different laws, different stuff going on. And so that's what we help our clients do, is we help them make good hiring decisions by finding out the information they need to have. And then, a lot of times cash is king, but in my world, information is king. If we can give them the right information, then they're going to do probably a much better hire.
Sure. Love it. Yeah, I like a lot of things about that. One is you've got the perfect voice for a minister. I am a pretend minister because I was asked to marry a couple that were very close to me. So I did that. I presided over their ceremony and took it very seriously. And it was a magical day, certainly for them, obviously, but it was for me too. And it was real touching. And I would love to have that opportunity again. It was really special. So a couple of things too. You had mentioned, Buzzy, you talked about very quickly how you moved and transitioned out. Somebody brought something to your attention, and I love how you said, "I made some phone calls." Yep. We're so in tune now where we toss a message, a direct message, a Facebook post, and this and that. And I just had a 2-hour breakfast with a gentleman about some things that we're talking about. We might be able to help him with some recruiting stuff. And it was a 2-hour breakfast. And we talked this for about 40 minutes of that, and the rest was just getting to know each other and building relationships. So I love the fact that you just said, hey, I got on the phone, talked to some people, and that's how you make things happen, right? Just getting on a phone or getting in front of people. And I actually try to be very intentional with that. Yesterday there was a post, and I was doing some things and answering somebody back on Facebook, and I saw a post from a friend of mine, and she's a coach, and Molly Moran, and she had said, what's your thing today? And I'm like, let me think. I said, I want to get in front of some people, and I want to talk to people and just get in front of people. So I did. And there were about 3 really cool things that happened out of that. So I'm glad I did. All right, so let's get back to 2004. You started. I want to talk about the criminal background check for the home service industry.
Yep.
We met over at Debbie's at CBF. Is first of all, being that you've got exterior cleaning, and you're certainly probably in hospitality and all kinds of different things.
Everything you name it, we do it. Yep.
Okay. Who do you have, a bread and butter type of customer, or is there a niche in the home service arena? Just interior, or do you exterior? What's that?
Yeah, I will tell you honestly, I mean, the home service industry, anybody that sends people into people's homes is definitely doing a lot of background checks. They have to nowadays. When I started in this industry back, prior to 2000, I would talk to some companies, and they're like, oh, background checks, we don't need to do that. We just hire so-and-so's cousin, or, my buddy Fred's, nephew, or whatever, And then I'd go back to those companies like 5-7 years later, and they're like, hey, wait a minute, I need to do background checks. You're not going to believe what this kid had done that I didn't even know about, So it was those kinds of discussions. So yeah, home service industry, we do a ton of those, interior cleaning, exterior cleaning, anybody plumbers, electricians, HVAC guys. Anybody that goes in anybody's home like that, we do a lot of that. But we do hospitals, we do churches, we do education, everything from pre-K to 12 to secondary education, colleges, that kind of stuff, to restoration companies, to, you name it, we do it. So yeah, it's all over the place. That's a great thing about our industry is everybody needs background checks.
Yep. And it's worse and worse and worse and worse.
It is. Yep.
So with that said, give me an idea, if I go to a car dealership and I go to buy an F-150 pickup truck, that brand new truck on that guy's lot is going to be pretty much exactly like the one that's going to be on the guy's lot down the road.
Yep.
So there's a lot of choices in background checks, just like there's choices in recruiting and bookkeeping and the things that we do here at Higher Lead Chill. What makes your company a little bit different, or big time different maybe than some others? Yeah,
great question. So first of all, I'm going to say the easy one, and this is what everybody says, I know, but customer service. We're the only background check company in the industry that I know of anyway that answers the phone 24/7.
Nice.
And all of that is US based. All of that is our employees. When you call us, you're actually talking to the people that are doing the background checks. You're not talking about a customer service team. You're not talking about somebody that's located somewhere else that doesn't really know what's going on. They're just answering the phone. Our team answers the phone. They're the ones doing your background checks. They know you. They know your file. They know exactly what's going on with your company, what your company needs. Maybe your company has these requirements because of this kind of contract, or maybe you're in this industry that needs this kind of information. Our team knows that about you, about your company, and they're going to do that. Because of that, they're going to make sure that you're getting the right information for that. The other thing that is going to happen is that we're going to do what we call live county criminal searches. So in our background check package, we're going to give you about 5 different kinds of background checks. And in that, when we give you those, one of those is going to be a live county criminal search. Some other companies nowadays have gone to just computer-to-computer scraping. So whatever they can get by their computer scraping a county courthouse computer or a state's computer or whatever, and you're going to get that information. The good news about that is that makes it faster, and that's an okay way to go in some regards. But the problem is over 2/3 of the counties in the United States operate like that. 1/3 does not. So you're missing 1/3 of all county criminal information by just doing the computer-to-computer scraping. And if you don't go to the county clerk's office, or you interact with a computer system that is the same exact knowledge as the court clerk's office, that's what we do. If you're not operating there, you're missing those records. So you're going to miss information. That's what you don't want. And that's another best value about us, is that you're going to get that kind of information search on every one of our packages for you.
Yeah, that's awesome information. One of the things that really made me comfortable with you and sort of had me aligned with your way of doing your business and your business model and your customer service, I always tell people, and this makes us different than the booths you saw there, and which are friends of mine but different, is that I don't hire customer service reps. I hire people that actually operated a business and have been there, done that. So, for example, Nikki, who's one of our primo account managers, she ran my office and in the cleaning industry for about 5 years. So, that's huge. That she knows what you're, not only just recruiting, but she knows about your phones, your customer service, your scheduling, your dispatch, all that stuff. Just to your point, you've got the people that are doing the work, but 24/7 blows me away, because I mean, that's unheard of today.
Yeah, I will tell you that I'm going to say 80% of those calls all come to this right here, my cell phone. Okay. And my cell phone is, I answer those calls. And I'll tell you, Shawn, I do that for a reason. I used to do it when we first started the company. I did it because I was the only one that pretty much knew all the answers. I had to do it. But we've got plenty of staff people that could do that nowadays, and they know all the answers, but they get to do that during the day, 9 to 5, 8 to 5. They get to take those customer service calls and they answer those customer service calls, and they do a great job. Okay. Well, I don't get to do that because I'm putting out other fires. I'm creating other things. I'm creating other fires, doing whatever I'm doing. I'm doing everything else. And I love to talk to the customers. That's one of my favorite parts about having the company, is talking to the customers, seeing how we can do better to make their lives easier, make their businesses better, etc. And so, at 7 o'clock at night, when somebody's calling, maybe from California or wherever in a different time zone, and they need to know about this background check, or they need to know about their invoice, or they need to know about, how to log on, or all of a sudden their system isn't working anymore, and they can't log in to do the background check. I like talking to them and figuring that out for them. And along the way, I'm going to ask them, hey, Shawn, how's it going? How's your business doing? What's going on, these days in the cleaning business, or in the landscaping business, or in the whatever, how are things going for you in XYZ state, because I may have just talked to another landscaper in another state that's really struggling, but maybe you're doing a great job. So, I like to know what's going on and how we can help you. How can we make your business better? So that's one of the reasons why we do it that way. Plus, obviously, I'm the kind of consumer that when I got a problem with a program that I'm doing, or a system that I'm on, and there's a problem with it, I don't want to wait till 8 o'clock the next morning. I need to figure that out now, And so I figure if I'm like that, I know there's other people like that, and they call and they do it. I used to have a customer, he sold his businesses now, but he was on the West Coast in Washington State, and he owned about 5 franchises of a cleaning business. And he didn't actually work in the business during the day. He had another full-time job. He owned these. And so he would always do his books and his business and everything at 10, 11 o'clock midnight, Washington time. Well, I'm in Midwest time zone. So he would call me and it's 2 o'clock in the morning, and I'd answer the phone. And I'm like, hey, thanks for calling C4 Operations. He's like, Buzzy, I can't believe you're answering the phone. It's 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, hey, that's what I do. I told you that, And the first time he called, he's like, oh, man, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I said, no, what do you need? So, I went out to the living room, not to wake up my wife, but I went out to the living room. We sat and we talked for half an hour about his business and what's going on and how he's doing. I will tell you, he told me over and over and over, and he told his franchisor too. He said, this guy and the way he runs his business is better than any other vendor I've ever had, because he takes care of me at 2 o'clock in the morning or 10 o'clock at night or whatever. He takes care of me. That's the kind of customer service that we want to give.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Thanks for sharing that, because that's huge. I love it. So let me ask you this: when he had a cleaning company, and I certainly had insurance, general liability, and some things. And there's always tricky things with the insurance end of things, and they've got terminology that most of us aren't, using in our everyday lives and stuff like that. So, for example, if a cleaner comes into a house and is dusting and knocks a vase over, that typically is covered.
Yep.
If, however, they go to put their broom in the corner, the broom falls and hits the vase, you're not covered. Okay. Unless you have a certain type of clause and coverage in your insurance policy.
Yep.
Do you think of anything that, or let me ask this first. Are you privy to understanding a lot of things that the insurance companies are looking for, or is that not something related to background checks? Is that more? I mean, you got some liability issues with
Yep.
insurance for sure, but
Yep.
you sure as hell got some liability insurance with background mistakes.
For sure. I'll tell you a couple of things. Number one, I know that we know, some people in the insurance industry that cover a lot of your customers, that cover a lot of my customers, and I will tell you, there's certain insurance companies that if you're not doing the right kind of background check and the right package of background check searches, okay, they're not going to cover you. And it says that right there in all of their language when you sign up for their services and you ask them to cover you and be your insurance agent. If you're not doing background checks and yet they find out that the people you're hiring, are stealing from your people or, your customers or whatever, they're not going to cover those claims. Yep. And it's very blatant right in there. I mean, it's right there in the language.
That's
and
huge.
They're not doing that. And so that's something you got to make sure that as a business owner, you're doing is, you're reading that fine print on that insurance stuff. And if it says, hey, you have to do this kind of background check, or you have to do background checks, with XYZ company or whatever it says, you're doing that. You're following that stuff. Because, I mean, I've talked to people that said, hey, I'm coming to you because so-and-so didn't cover one of my previous claims because I wasn't doing background checks. I didn't know that. I didn't find that out. And now I'm finding that out. So I'm coming to you. And so, obviously we sign them up and we get them going.
And to that point, in addition to that, that's just kind of like the minimum that they want in order to insure you. So there's probably more that you're going to want to think about outside of just that minimum to protect your insurance policy. That doesn't mean that you're doing the right things. So before I ask the question of what makes a really good background check for our industry here, and all the industries really probably, let me ask this, because I always think about this and I've thought about this in the past. In the real world, we get somebody that busts into somebody's house and they smack some people around, they steal some things, and they get caught a week later, and they're charged with a felony. And they go in front of the judge, and the attorney and the judge know each other a little bit, or not, and the judge has just maybe got a different way of presiding, and they get a misdemeanor.
Yep.
Talk to me about that. Talk me through just that, and then we'll get into what makes a really good background check and what considerations you want to have when ordering them.
Sure.
Is it safe to assume that there's more misdemeanors that should be looked at as felonies than maybe not? What's your take on all that?
Yeah, Shawn, I will tell you, and we talk about this all the time as a staff team, that there's a thing, and it's called different things in different states, okay? But a lot of states refer to it as a deferment program, okay? It's supposed to be a first-time offenders, all right? But we see it used a second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth-time offender kind of programs, where what they do is they take the offense, okay? Sometimes it is a felony, all right? And they've, the lawyer has pled it down, and so the prosecutor and the defense attorney, they agree to let this go as a misdemeanor, and so then the judge says, okay, and they put them into a deferment program, we'll call it. That's, like I say, what it's called in a lot of different states. And what that means is that they don't do any jail time. They are on probation for a year, maybe 2 years. There's extended ones, but most of them are a year or 2 year program. And as long as they keep their nose clean and they don't commit any more crimes for that year or two, then that crime doesn't go on their record. And while they're in the deferment program, okay, a background check company like me can't even report that to a company like you, and you can't use that against them in the hiring decision.
Wow.
So no matter what they did, you're not even going to know about it. Okay. And you can't use that against them in your hiring decision. So you have to, unless you've got other reasons not to hire them, you can't use that. So maybe you have to hire them, and you hire them. Well, then a year or two down the road, once they're off probation, whatever, something else happens, now they're out of that deferment period. So that's off their record. So now they go into a second program, they commit another crime, they do something else. And so now they're in this deferment program somewhere else. Maybe it's a different county, because the counties don't communicate a lot of times. And the one judge won't see what the other judge did. And so now they'll say, oh, we'll put you on this deferment program. Just keep your nose clean. This could be the fourth time this person has had this. We see that all the time right now. Wow. So yes, should they be more strict? In my opinion, yes, they should. But I get it. Judges want to give them a second chance and want to get them employed and want to give them, chances to keep their job or go get another job or whatever. I understand all that. But yet at the same time, it's pretty darn frustrating when in this situation, I just talked to a client about this a couple months ago. There was a crime we couldn't report because of the deferment program. Okay. He went ahead and hired the person. She ended up stealing from his client. Okay. And now, here he is 6 months later trying to defend this in court, saying, hey, I hired this person because I didn't know about this other crime. Yeah. And yet now his client and their insurance company is suing him because he hired this person. So yeah, it can be a real mess.
Yeah. I never knew that. That's incredible. So one of the things that's important to understand is that small business owners, a lot of times in the life cycle of getting into business in the home service space, we end up cleaning some windows, maybe part-time or pressure washing, or even doing some house cleaning to find out, wow, I'm making some pretty good money. I wonder, geez, if I hire a few people. And so we're not well-versed in insurance. We're not well-versed in background checks, and then we just know we should have them. And then we take a while to do that, let alone anything else. So, I always tell our clients, I'm not an attorney. Okay. I'm not an expert when it comes to employment law. But there are these things that in certain states, and it's growing, ban the box laws, right?
Yep.
And so there's certain times in certain states where you have got to defer from even speaking the word background check. Or will you pass a criminal background? God forbid you say criminal background check. And there's certain times that you can't say it until you hire them. And then you can maybe bring it. So with that said, are those things that you're helpful with to a client that comes to you? And I guess let me ask it this way. Does that affect your business at all and how you have to service your client, any of the ban the box type of laws?
So as far as affecting our business, no, it doesn't affect it, because the people are still doing a background check, and they still need to do background checks. It's just when they do that background check. Yeah. Do they do it pre-hire or post-hire? Okay. Pre-offer or post-offer. All right. So in 36 different jurisdictions across the country, all right, there's some kind of ban the box laws, rules, legislation, something. All right. That could be as far as an individual city, like the city of Austin, Texas. Okay. It has its own ban the box law. All right. The whole state of Texas doesn't, but different parts of Texas do. Okay. The whole state of California is ban the box. All right. Yeah. Many other states in the whole state are ban the box. In Iowa, all right, Johnson County and Lynn County. All right. If you are a Johnson County or Lynn County employee, meaning you're employed by the county, not just an employer in that county, but if you're a county employee or in Johnson or Lynn County, there's ban the box. Okay. They've got ban the box legislation. All right. In a city, just city of Waterloo, Iowa. Okay. They have their own ban the box rules. So it can get very, very detailed as far as what that jurisdiction is, or it can be a whole state like California, for example. So you just need to know where you're at. And what I always refer people to is their legal counsel to figure out their area of ban the box, because I'm telling you, that changes like water. I mean, it goes back and forth and back and forth. It expands to a bigger area, and then it comes back down, excuse me, to a smaller area. So it all just depends on where you're at. We help you figure out where you're at, what the law is, talk to your attorneys there. And then we say, okay, you're going to do them pre-hire. You're going to do them post-hire. All right. Now we help the client figure all that out. Then in our software, in our program, okay, when you do a background check, all right, say that you're not going to hire that person based upon something on that background check. All right. Well, now you've figured out when to do it versus ban the box. Now, how do you let them know and take that adverse action? Okay. That adverse action is very, very important. All right. You can't just send them a Dear John letter anymore and say, we're not going to hire you. It doesn't fly anymore. Okay. Adverse action is the second leading cause of litigation in the HR industry.
Wow.
All right. Because people are not doing adverse action correctly. To do adverse action correctly takes 3 steps. You have to first send them a letter saying, hey, we've done this background check on you. And that letter is going to contain 3 parts. Number 1, it's basically a paragraph saying, hey, Shawn, we did a background check on you, in essence. I mean, there's a lot more to it, but that's the letter. That's the paragraph. Second thing is it lists your FCRA rights, because you have to give them their Fair Credit Reporting Act rights in this letter, because they've got rights. Okay. Then the third thing is an actual copy of the background check. The same exact background check that the employer got, this person is due that in their pre-adverse action letter. You can't not hire them yet. You can't even talk about not hiring them yet. You have to send them this letter first. Okay. Wow. In our software, that's all pre-populated. All you have to do is hit click, email, boom, you email it to them, and it's done. Okay. And actually, let me time out there just for a minute. If you are listening to this and you are in the state of California, California has its own set of laws for adverse action that started this year in 2024. They have a whole myriad of differences and changes to all of this. Okay. What I'm describing to you is everywhere else, all 49 other states besides California, just so you get that. Okay. If you need questions about California or whatever, I'm sure through Shawn, you can get my contact information and we can help you with California too. But what I'm telling you right now, the simple version is everywhere else. All right. So you got your pre-adverse action. Then by law, you have to wait 5 business days, not calendar days, but 5 business days. And then you put down a little tickler on your calendar on the 6th day to send the second adverse action notice. Okay. Now that second adverse action notice is based upon how you do your background checks, pre-employment or pre-offer or post-offer. Okay. Because the second letter is either going to say, if you've done your background check pre-offer, all right, and you've done your background check there and you don't have ban the box in your area and you're okay to do that, then you're going to send just a denial letter saying, hey, we regret to inform you we can't hire you based upon this consumer report. It's 1 paragraph, short, sweet, boom, it's done. That's it. Okay. But that's a denial letter. Now, if you are in a ban the box area and you've waited to do the background check until after you've given them that contingent job offer, all right, then at that point, then you give them oh my goodness, you are retracting the offer. Okay, so now you're taking back the offer. All right, in that setting, and basically what that letter says is, hey, we regret to inform you we have to rescind our offer of employment due to the background check and this consumer report. And again, it's still 1 paragraph, but they've already seen the background check. They already know it. Most likely you've probably already discussed it with them. They've come to you. They've said, hey, I got this pre-adverse action letter. What's going on? You know, et cetera, et cetera. And you probably already had the discussion. But those 3 parts are the adverse action parts of what you need to do as an employer. And to your point, Shawn, you know, I'm talking to the guy here that is just starting his power washing business or, you know, home cleaning business or whatever. He has no idea about HR. He has no idea. She doesn't know, you know, this from that as far as that kind of stuff. This is the kind of stuff that's going to get you in trouble if you don't do it right.
And it could be something you're doing today or have done already that you might not even sniff or hear anything about for a year or two. And then it'll catch
Exactly.
up to you and you don't even remember anything about it, right?
Yep.
So let
Yep.
me ask you a question that came to mind. So a company that is got 5 employees, they're growing and they're adding 2 and 3 and then maybe up to 10. What is sort of number one? You need to be consistent with everybody. It can't be, yep, this one I'll hire you. You had the same thing, but I'm not going to hire you based on.
Yep.
So there's got to be consistency. I think that's logically, something that we would all agree on.
You would think so, but not necessarily. Keep that in mind. And that's a very good point. You have to be consistent in the job level you're talking about. So if you've got a manager, you have to do the same background check package on all manager applicants. Okay. If you've got cleaners, a cleaner level or whatever, then you have to do the same background check package on them. You can't say, oh, I'm going to do this package on this person because I know them, but I don't know this person over here, so I'm going to do this package on them that's more severe or more robust. You have to do the same background check package on that level of worker, whatever that level is.
That's a great point. Especially a lot of us do hire friends or relatives to first start out. That's a great point. Yep. So I think this goes hand in hand, or it might be a little bit different in that you also, okay, it is a little bit different. So you've got your consistency. You're ordering the same packages for each job title, gets the same package. What about the baseline? It's also got to have, not only do you have to order the same, but you have to have sort of the same baseline of what you're going to tolerate. Is that something that, again, we're probably not really well versed at having a conversation about, well, this says this, so you must have done that. I guess you can't get hired because it looks like you may have gotten that. We need to sound much better than that when we have conversations. How do you talk to me about that, and what would make a client feel comfortable coming to a new client?
That is a great question. Can I share my screen?
Yeah, go right ahead.
All right. So here's what we're going to do. I am going to show you on our website, and you guys can go to this and find it yourself. But I'm going to show you the package that we're going to give to Shawn and his customers and everything, and what that looks like. And the reason that you want to do this is you want to make sure that you're getting the right pieces in this background check. That's what's important. And the pieces can make all the difference in the world. And I'll kind of explain that as I go through this here. Hang
on. There we go. Right there. Yep.
There we go. Perfect. All right. So here's what this looks like. This one right here, the best value search package, right? It comes with a Social Security verification. So we're going to verify that the Social Security number they're giving you is basically what's out there in what we call the systems. All right. That can be Social Security system. That can be mortgage systems. That can be utility company systems. Anybody that has taken your name, your Social Security number, and your date of birth. So those 3 items, as long as those all go together, we're probably getting that information thrown into this database. Okay. The next thing is a NatCrim database with alias name. So what that is, I wish that was what it sounds like, is some big computer up in Washington, D.C. that keeps track of everybody's criminal records, but there is no such thing. All right. Yeah. So basically what this is one of, like, say 10 to 12 companies now that have gotten together with all these jurisdictions across the country and said, hey, we want all of your information. Okay. The good news is there's some pretty robust systems out there. The one I use has about 1.5 billion criminal records in it. All right. And that sounds like a lot. I mean, that is, it's a lot of records. It's very good. The problem with this is there's only about 2/3 of the counties in the United States that report to databases like this. Over 1/3 of the counties in the United States don't report to any databases like this. So you have to do the next level. There is a one live county criminal search. And what we mean by that is the same information as if we go to the court clerk in that county and we say, hey, Mr. Court Clerk, give us the information on Shawn Day. And we ask for that information and we get that information. Now, there's some systems that we can do that computer-wise. There's some systems where I have to have literally boots on the ground and an individual go into that court and get that information. But that's what we do, okay? anybody out there that's listening to this, if you're doing background checks, you want to make sure that your company is doing live county criminal searches. And I'm going to tell you, some are going to say, yes, they are, but they're not. So you got to be careful about that. And I can tell you right now, if they're charging you on top of their base package, if they're charging you for that criminal search, then they're probably doing a live county criminal search. If they're not charging you for it, then they're not doing it, because they're not in this business to lose money. All right. So they're not going to do something, because they have to pay for those searches. If they're getting a live county criminal search, they have to pay for that. So if they're going to pay for it, they're going to charge you for it. So that's one way to look at it. Next thing is the National Sex Offender Registry. 50 state, every state in the country. If they're a registered sex offender, we're going to find them. The next thing is very, very important, a national federal criminal, okay? Not a county criminal like up top there, okay? But a federal criminal. I'm going to take you back to 12th grade government class for a minute, all right? You've got your county court system and your federal court system. You have to understand that in those two systems, all right, that they do not communicate with each other. So if I've got crimes in the county court and you're just running county criminal court, you're going to find that crime. But if I've got crimes over here in the federal court system and you're running the county criminal court, you're not going to find that crime. All right. That didn't used to be that big a deal 20 years ago. But in the last 20 or 25 years, with the explosion of the internet, all right, all multi-jurisdictional crimes are held in federal court. Well, with that, understand that everything on the internet is a multi-jurisdictional crime, because I can be committing a crime in Phoenix, Arizona against somebody in New York on the internet. Yeah. Well, because of that, it's all held in federal court. So ask yourself, ask your background check company, are you doing federal court searches for me? Okay. I'm going to guarantee you right now, out of everybody here listening, okay, 80% of your background check companies, 80% of the packages that you're on are not doing a federal court search for you. And if they are, they're doing one jurisdiction. They're not doing nationwide. Okay. We're going to do a nationwide federal court search for you in this package that we're giving to Shawn and his customers. Okay. So that is a huge, huge thing that didn't used to be that huge 20, 25 years ago, but it's huge nowadays. Okay.
Wow.
And then we're going to give you a 7-year address review, meaning we're going to go back and look at every single county criminal courthouse that person has lived in the last 7 years. Each additional county is $8, because again, I've got to pay for those. You got to pay for those. But we're going to give you this base price here, which I think we can say, right? Can we say the price, Shawn?
Go right ahead. Yeah.
So you're going to get this here. It's about a $30 to $40 to $50 background check that we give to most companies. All right. At that price, you guys are going to get it for a base price of $24. All right. And then you're going to pay $8 for those additional counties when we go to the county clerk's office and look for those criminal records where they've lived. So that's kind of your base package there of what you're looking at.
That's awesome.
That's the right pieces of the background check. You want to make sure that if you're doing background checks right now with somebody else, you want to make sure all of those pieces are there and present. And I can almost guarantee you, you're not going to get that for $24.
Yep.
But you talk to them and you ask the questions. Feel free to call Shawn. Feel free to call me, and we'll be glad to answer your questions.
Buzzy, that was perfect. Yeah, it's we're going to get this up and running starting November 1st, probably somewhere the first week of November. We're talking to our clients about it already. And I took some time to find a good vendor for our criminal background checks, because when I had my company, there were a handful of them that you kind of heard about, and then now they're all over the place. So I wanted to vet some people, and you were invited to a certain conference that you weren't necessarily out pounding the phones and trying to get into all these conferences and that sort of thing. You were invited to it, just as we are invited to it, because we've got a reputation of taking care of people at maybe not the lowest price always, but certainly a fair price, but with outstanding value. And I think that's the type of vendors that I want to offer. And one of the first things I said to you was, I don't want to make money. I'm not interested in an affiliate thing on this. I just want a discount if you can for our clients, and let's move from there. That's all I care about. When I do, there's one or two vendors that we do have an affiliation with, and we do get a small affiliation fee, and I disclose that. This is not one of them. This is way too important for me to try to get the most money I can in our pocket. It's a lot like insurance. Man, I hate to pay for that insurance until you need it. And eventually, if you're in business long enough, and especially as you're growing and getting more and more recruiting and more employees and more things are going to happen, just like insurance, you're going to really, really kick yourself in the rear end for not getting the level of background check that you need to have to protect your company, to protect your time of going in front of a judge with your attorney to have a conversation or two or more and lose a bunch of money on top of that, or to file a claim with your insurance company and they say, wait a minute here, you have no idea who you hired, do you? They find out what types of crimes this person has done. And like Buzzy said, one of the things happening, if is the internet stuff. These are federal crimes. When you cross a state line, it becomes a federal crime in most cases, right? And so that's if stalking somebody online, that's not something that would surprise any of us. We see it almost blatantly on social media that somebody mentions it probably once a month, once a week, maybe, in fact. Those are important things that you're going to want to find out. Those are things that you really need to protect your company. And, of course, you need to protect your customers with this sort of thing, too. You can get out of business very quickly if Mrs. Jones has one of your employees do something horrific inside of her home, and that word gets out to the news, and then the news is knocking on your door like we see sometimes going, hey, I need to talk to you about something. You don't want to go there. It's not worth it. Anything else, Buzzy, you can add to the just incredible information that you've given us?
No, I would just say, it's like Shawn said, it's an incredible, important fact of your business. And it may seem like, that's another bill I don't want to pay. That's another thing I don't want to pay for. But all you got to do is one time have somebody say, you know what, this client stole from me. And oh my goodness, they're out there on Instagram, they're out there on Facebook, they're out there on everywhere, destroying your company. And you don't want that. You want to be able to tell them, hey, I did a due diligent background check. This is what I did. And your workforce is going to represent that. Your workforce isn't going to be in there stealing from them. Your workforce is going to be in there and doing the job they're supposed to be doing because you've done the background check, you've made the good hire, you've done what you're supposed to do. And that due diligence is going to help you down the road.
Absolutely. That's great stuff. C4operations.com, C4operations.com. We've been scrolling along, but I'll also have our VA posted online on our group and in my personal as well. If you're not a client of Hire Lead Chill, by all means, get a hold of Buzzy anyway. And whatever you're doing now, I would at least make an appointment with Buzzy and his team to at least go over and find out. This is, I think, what I've got going on now, and this is what I'm doing. And if I know Buzzy as well as I think I know him, and I do, he's going to tell you, hey, you know what, that package is good. You probably don't need to do too much. Or he might say, you probably want to add this or that. And then, he's fine with that, I'm sure. If you're not real comfortable with the people you're using and the things, and you don't have somebody that's vetted them and know other companies that are using them, I know many companies that Buzzy's servicing with this background check at C4operations.com. If you're just gray a little bit about it, if you're not sure 110%, get a hold of Buzzy. Make sure you're 110% on this one. This is not one you can be maybe not so perfect on training and still grow a good company and be okay. Maybe you're not writing somebody up necessarily when you should be and all. You missed the ball on this one, man, and it could ruin your life and it could certainly ruin your business. So
very true.
All right, Buzzy, I appreciate your time. It's coming up on the hour. I told you it'd be only 20 or 30 minutes. I guess we're coming up on 40, 50 minutes.
That's
but
right.
that happens. So it was nice to see you again. We'll be in touch one or two more times to iron anything out that we have to before we get this up and running. As I say, you don't have to be a customer of Hire Lead Chill get a hold of cfoperations.com. Everybody, I'll be on next Tuesday with Sharon Tinberg, who has been in this industry for maybe a little bit longer than I have. She's phenomenal on interior cleaning services, commercial business, and some other things. She's got a really, really impressive new thing that she's doing in regards to training and some other things. So look out for that next Tuesday. Looks like that'd be the 29th at 4 p.m. Eastern time. Buzzy, thanks again. Everybody take good care out there.
Thanks, Shawn. Have a great day.
Okay.